Yeah, it's down the mind, bringing peace and progress alive. Come along this journey, let's celebrate. Hey. Started from the ground, now I'm rising high. 50 pounds lighter, see the change in the eye. Natural hustle every day I grind. Building habits strong, peace and life. Peace and progress, that's the vibe we send. On this journey with Jah, where the good never ends. Soulful beats with a message so true. Positivity flowing just for you. Step by step, we moving ahead. Healthy mind, body, soul, and faith. From struggle to strength, we find our way. Together we arise brighter every day. So welcome to the channel, let's grow and shine.
All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Peace and Progress with Jah. First things first, you gotta get up, I get on up. I get up, I get on up. Gotta stretch my ribs, get on up, because my back too big. Get on up. That's right. You know what's up. You gotta get your butt up, okay? It is very important not to be sitting down for too long. Stationary life is not a healthy life, and I know that you know that, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying. So we have lots of information that I would like to share with you. However, I do not want to bombard you with hour-long episodes. So the plan is to, break them up into smaller segments. That way, the bits and pieces are a lot easier to digest. Now, there are many reasons why I don't want to bombard you with long episodes, but the main one is because I respect your time. So the plan is to get through as much information as we can without it being too much, and letting you go on about your merry day, putting that stuff to practice. So here's the truth. When I started, I didn't know. And honestly, whether or not that has changed is still up for debate, but it is what it is. So what I did have was a mindset shift and an obsession, because anytime I get into something new, I tend to obsess over that thing. And finally, I think I found the one thing that it's actually okay to obsess over. So, I wanted to consume as much information as I could to ensure that I was doing things properly and in the most efficient way. So what does that mean? Well, I spent an entirely too big amount of time on YouTube, consuming everything, all of it. Give me all the information I wanted. Yeah. But I'm okay. So I was also fortunate enough that my algorithm was actually really good to me, to where it kind of seemed like my algorithm progressed with me, where I was finding out the information that I needed to find out as someone starting out. And then as I progressed, so did my algorithm, which was really nice. I don't expect that to happen to everyone. In fact, I don't know if it actually usually happens to anyone, but it was something that I found to be extremely helpful. And it was very exciting because I felt like I was learning the things that I needed to learn at that time. But what that also meant was that I was usually watching the same kind of video over and over from multiple different sources. So it was basically kind of just like that positive reinforcement of, being told what I need to do at this particular phase that I'm in, just in different ways by different people, just kind of reinforcing my mind like, yeah, this is it. This is the thing that I need to be doing. So I start doing that, but then I'm still being told, yep, that's the right thing to do. So it's kind of like I had found myself a personal coach with multiple different sources and different faces. But it was really nice. And I feel like that's kind of why I wanted to add to that, because the thing is that also what's out there is a lot of like the not so great stuff. And you do, run into those videos. So it is important to be careful what you consume, while it's also important to consume the type of information that is necessary and required during your transition period of getting into these new, better habits. That said, it's also important not to attempt to consume too much, because too much information could end up being extremely overwhelming. And there's going to be a lot of one person saying, oh, you should do it this way, and then someone else saying, oh, but you should do it this way. The content that I consumed and the creators that I followed, I found it better to follow the types of creators that said things along the lines of, hey, this is what worked for me. Doesn't mean you have to do this. Whatever you're doing, if it's working, stick to that, because that is really the only workout you need to do. You need to do the plan that has been working for you. Whatever it is that you feel like you can stick to, that is the perfect workout plan. No one else's workout plan is, best for you. The reality is that whatever one you feel like you can stick to, that's the one that is going to be best. So let's talk about one of the things that I feel like truly got me started. When I first started trying to, lose weight, the way I started was I used to play sports in high school, so I kind of already had an idea how to work out. So I had some equipment from the many times I started working out before, just some, small things. I had a couple dumbbells, small bar, not the standard size, with some weights to put on that. Got it all from Amazon, and a bench, and then obviously the rack to put the barbell on. So I don't think I had much of anything else prior to that. So that's what I had. I would work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I did that for about a week. And then I started watching videos that basically talked to me about the cheat code, which is walking. Had no idea. Not gonna lie, I wasn't so happy to find out that I had the cheat code the whole time. Feel like somebody was keeping that way too close to the chest. But yeah, so learned about walking, and then that started my second week. Now let's talk about the tracking process. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do have an Apple Watch, but I would have never purchased this on my own. However, it is one of the things that really kind of saved this whole thing for me. So my wife purchased an Apple Watch for me as a gift, and it really set the tone, because the thing is that the Apple Watch also gives you access to a lot of features in the Apple Fitness app. It allows you to set 3 goals. It is a movement goal, which is calories. It's a exercise goal, which is exercise minutes, and a stand goal, which is exercise hours. However, I will say that it does not mean you have to stand for an entire hour. That's not how it works. I don't know exactly what the metrics are in the sense of like how long you need to stand, but I usually do like 5 to 10 minutes in the hour, and that usually takes care of it. Or I'll do like a quick, kind of movement while I'm standing, and usually that'll also do it. Like even if I only do that for like 30 seconds, sometimes it actually counts. So it's really just about kind of having goals that you can set and follow. And so that really helped me, because I am a fanatic for being rewarded, and that app is extremely rewarding because it tells you like, oh, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a great job. That's just something that I found extremely helpful. It's a tool and a resource. You don't have to have an Apple Watch. There are other options out there that are way cheaper. Please do not spend your money because of me. I promise you there are other options that will give you the same exact thing. You won't be able to use the Apple Fitness app, but maybe you don't even have an iPhone, so why does that even matter, right? But yeah, so there are other options out there. There are less expensive, I would say budget friendly options out there. So if that's something that you feel like you would find helpful to kind of push you along and help you gain that momentum, absolutely do that. It's really nice to like have like a streak that you're like, nope, not gonna break that, getting up. And so that was kind of something that I fell into. So along with the goals, you also have the ability to start actual workouts. Whew, big game changer for me, because then it, like, I'm a numbers guy, and so it really gave me that visual like, hey, you are doing this workout for this amount of time and you burn this many calories. Now obviously it's not 100% accurate, and many people will tell you that, but I've seen it both where it's like inaccurate. Well, mostly when I've seen it inaccurate, it's actually low, on the low side. So it's really nice. That being said, just because you burn 1,000 calories does not mean to now go splurge and eat those calories back. I just want to be clear on that. And also, just because most of the time I've seen it inaccurate and it was too low does not necessarily mean that will always be the case. There's a band that they tell you as far as accuracy goes, like, kind of plus or minus this or that, right? So you don't want to use that as like, okay, this is exactly what I burned. But at the same time, it's really nice to have that kind of progress where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm doing something. And it really tricks the brain and it gives you that dopamine rush. And it's so freaking awesome. So yeah, so obviously one of the things that the watch also does is count your steps. Hey, what's up, guys? So I am in the middle of editing and just realized that I missed one thing that I actually really enjoyed about the Apple Watch and the fitness app. So you also have the option to go up against and compete with friends that also have Apple Watches. And so that's something that I did a lot of, both with people that I live with and with friends of mine that obviously I don't live with. So yeah, so that's another option. I do believe that there are other apps that serve the same purpose. I'm not aware of those apps. However, I do know for a fact that it is something that you can do against family members and friends that also have Apple Watches. So those are the things, just kind of all together with the Apple Watch that really helped me to get started, helped me gain some momentum because it's really nice to look at the calendar on the fitness app and see all your rings closed on multiple days. And now I can say like multiple weeks, multiple months at this point, right? So it was really nice to see that. And it really helped keep me going, really helped, with me setting like minimums and things like that. Like I said, a minimum step goal for me, I did 10,000 steps, but you don't have to do 10,000 steps. It just felt like it was a really good, clean number to hit every time. And I did that. And I made sure that that was my minimum every day, no matter what, even if it wasn't a gym day. On gym days, I also hit that same number. So I want to be clear that was separate. Like my actual gym time, for resistance training and weightlifting, that was separate from my 10K steps. So no matter what, I still did the 10K steps. You don't have to do it that way. I'm just, letting you know that that is what I did. Okay, so here's the deal. You do not need a gym to get you started. And I know I said I had a little bit of equipment. Even without equipment, I could have done a lot of things at home. So if you're one of those people that you're just not really feeling comfortable yet, doing gym stuff or going out in public, listen, I'm not judging. That's how I felt. So that's the only reason why I even bring this up. People like kind of stare and stuff like that. And I'm not going to lie, like I'm actually pretty shy, which is kind of crazy because no one would ever know that about me. But yeah, so like it just felt like people probably weren't watching me, but it felt like people were watching me. And most of the time they probably watched me because I was like doing something wrong. But yeah, so that was something that I did shy away from for a long time. But this time around, that wasn't the case. I did start, I want to say my second week, I actually started going to the free gym at my job. And so if you do have like the capability to go to a free gym and you feel comfortable doing that, that is definitely the way to go. Bless you. Yeah, so that's definitely the way to go. But at the same time, it's not a requirement. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in your home. Now, if you feel like, oh, at home is not the best, then obviously, yeah, I would say do a gym for sure. So one of these days, I'll talk to you more about what a home gym day looked like for me. But we're not going to get too much into that today. And I'm going to tell you why. So here's the deal. If you throw embarrassment away, I promise you it really will like open up your world. When I shed embarrassment from my life, I really kind of realized that the entire world is my gym. I can do stuff anywhere. One of the things that I actually got was a walking pad at some point, which was great. And even that changed my life. I didn't spend a bunch of money on it. I did get it from Amazon. And it is something I think that is extremely helpful, especially for those, like if you do like outdoor walks and stuff like that. I did a lot of that. But there are days, obviously, when the weather just does not permit. So having a walking pad as something that you can do in the house. Plus, even if maybe you don't even want to go outside and maybe you want to do like virtual walks, which is something I did as well, where I would like get on the walking pad and I would have a virtual tour on YouTube on my television. I was going to say on the YouTube, sound old. On the YouTube. Anyway, yeah, so I would have YouTube on some sort of walking tour like Japan or France or something like that, and I'd be on a walking pad doing that. So that's an option. And just kind of to talk a little bit more about the walking pad that I did get, even though it wasn't that expensive, it came with its own app that kind of allowed me to do challenges. It allowed me to go up against other people, and it also had like free walks where you can kind of walk around in like fake parks or do like mountains and stuff like that. And as you're walking past people, if you have your proximity microphone on and they have theirs on, you guys can kind of say hello, like from all places in the world, which I think is extremely cool. Going back to the embarrassment thing, so once I shed that, I realized that I could do stuff anywhere. And I actually found that it was more beneficial to me to do things like running in place, right? Because when I'm on a walking pad, I'm kind of limited to the speeds that the walking pad will go, especially if you get one of the ones like when I started out, it was a walking pad that didn't have any sort of bars or anything like that. So you definitely didn't want to have that too high. And I think it like maxed out at like 5 or 6 or something like that. No, I don't think what the high was for. Yeah, I think it was like 4.3 or some weird number. It wasn't a whole number by any means. But yeah, so you don't want to go too fast on those things, and you pretty much limit it to that, which again, still nice to have, especially if you want to do like walking tours and stuff like that. But I found it just so much more beneficial to run in place. I do it now all the time. That is my go-to. I love it. I feel like I can go whatever pace I want to go, and it's just such a simple thing that I can get my heart rate elevated, and like stay active for 30 minutes and watch TV just running in place. And sometimes I even get a little weird with it, and I start kind of going back and forth or whatever. So yeah, running in place, it's my thing. I will do it literally anywhere. I am embarrassing, like for sure. You don't want to hang out with me. I literally was outside. My wife's literally inside getting her nails done. She comes out and I'm outside my car, like people just walking by, just do. I didn't care. I had my headphones in, listening to music, and I had my phone in front of me because I have my Apple Watch on. Going back to being allowed to start workouts and things like that, it actually like times it and everything and shows you all of your metrics right there on your phone in front of you while you're going. It shows you your heart rate, all of that. So literally, I got that in front of me, and I'm just going at it. So love it, love it, love it, and that is definitely something that I would suggest. Because it really doesn't matter. Like, who cares who's looking? And besides, you might even inspire somebody. Like, you would be surprised that people, like, yeah, they might be staring, but they're not staring because they're like, oh, you're a weirdo. Like, they're like, man, this guy's committed. But also maybe he's a weirdo. I don't know. I like to tell myself that they're saying positive things. So I want to talk about food tracking now. There are a lot of people out there that kind of go back and forth about whether or not it is a requirement. I would not say that it's necessarily a requirement, but what I will say is that it's kind of like, what would you do with your money? Like, are you just going to spend, 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 spend? I mean, there are a lot of people like that. You shouldn't be like that, right? Like, you should know what you're spending, because otherwise you end up in the negative. And that's kind of how it is when it comes to your food budget, right? Like your calories. You don't want to just like me stuffing it down and not necessarily know what you're putting in. But it is also entirely possible. Many have done it, where they have lost the weight and everything just by eating more healthy. And because they're eating these healthier foods that are less calorie dense, they don't necessarily need to count any calories to know that they're likely either in a deficit, or actually, they're likely in a deficit. But yeah, like those healthier foods are less calorie dense, and so it's not necessarily a requirement to track it. But it just seems unwise to not track your numbers. I mean, it seems important to know what you're putting in. Part of tracking, I think, that really helps is that it's something that you can look back on and say, okay, so this is what was working or this wasn't working, right? But if you don't track it, then you have nothing to kind of go off of. You can't really change or pivot if you need to when you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think it's very important to track things, your workouts, your weight, your size. And when I say size, I mean like, get one of those cheap tape measures and get the numbers. Like, all that stuff is important so that you can track your progress, because tracking your progress ultimately is going to be the thing that keeps you going, I promise you. And it can't be the number on a scale. And there's many videos out there that explains why, and maybe I'll make one day, but we're not going to talk too much about that today. But know that it does fluctuate, and no, it is not fat that is fluctuating. I promise you, it is water. Before I started using an app to track all of what I was eating, my wife and I had started a note in the Notes app on our Apple phones. I think we were Apple phones. Listen to me. I think we were actually using the iPads. So basically, although I wasn't like technically like counting calories per se, I was kind of keeping track of what I was eating. But we essentially was kind of putting a menu together that we could just cycle, which is nice. But at the same time, like, you're eventually going to deviate from that. So I think that made it a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. And then through one of the videos I watched, I was introduced to an app called MyFitnessPal. I do have the paid version, mainly because the paid version is the only way that you can use the barcode on foods, which is so much simpler than having to type it. I love that. You can track that. You can track water. You can track fasting. There's so many different things you can track on there. And you can track macros, which I never used to even do. I didn't know what it was. I didn't care about it. You know, once you get later down the road, I think that kind of becomes one of the things that you kind of want to master. You don't have to, but I just think that some people like myself, once you get further down the line, it's like you get more obsessed about it, and you're like, oh, well, what things do I need to tweak? How can I make this better? How can I make this more efficient? And that's how you then kind of get down that rabbit hole of macros and things like that. So yeah, there are a lot of things you can track on there. You can create meals. You can set it up where it's like, I eat this every day, or I drink this every day, and so you just have that on every day. You don't have to go in there and add it each time. So I really, really do think that it is worth it. At the same time, you can do everything that I said without the premium version, so to speak. It's a lot more manual work as opposed to being able to use the barcode. Something else that I love about the app is that it does also have the ability to track your weight, and it shows you like a little graph over time of like how much weight you've lost. And every time you put your weight in there, and you can connect like other apps. Like, if you have a digital scale at home, you can have that send information to that app as well, which I do. And so you stand on that, and then it automatically kicks it over there, and then you can go into the app, and you can even add a progress photo, which I love. I think taking progress photos is extremely important because you see yourself every day. And so every day, even though you might be changing just a little bit, it's not enough for you to notice. So those progress photos are key, I promise. And I love the exercise portion as well. So again, going back to allowing other apps to send information there. So my fitness app, my health app, every app that I use for any workout reasons, anything like that, it sends information to that app, and then it subtracts that from my daily caloric goals, right? So, and you can set your own caloric goal. You don't have to, go off of what the app gives you or anything like that. Like, I have mine set to 1800, which is well below what I need. So yeah, and we'll talk more about calories and, kind of like the roller coaster of how that all works on another day. But yeah, I love the fitness app. There are other apps out there that you can use that are just as good. I'm not affiliated with them in any kind of way. I only bring that up because that is what I'm using, and that's what this channel is me giving you my story in the form of information that hopefully you can also utilize. All right. So thanks for watching. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe, all the things. Keep those noties on, because we will be back again. We are doing this thing together. We are a community. I am here with you. And it's easy to try to put your head down and do things by yourself, but it's so much better to have a community. So as I always say, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I'm Ja. I've been praying for a long time, and I'm ready to say amen. I'll see you next time.